Welcome back for another video in our series, Music in the Time of Pandemics. I'm Trilla Ray Carter, the founding director of the Kansas City Baroque Consortium. It was June 1528. England was struck once again by the sweating sickness. The French ambassador, Cardinal de Boleyn, reported from London, "This disease is the easiest in the world to die of. You have a slight pain in the head and at the heart. All at once you begin to sweat, and there is no need for a physician. You are taken off without languishing." The sweating sickness, sometimes also referred to as the English sweat, was a terrifying epidemic. The symptoms were shockingly swift and dramatic, with death often occurring within a matter of hours. The first symptoms were described as cold shivers and a sense of dread, severe pains to the head and neck, followed by hot sweats, and finally, an overwhelming urge to sleep. Between the first outbreak in 1485, the year the Tudors came to power, and the year 1551, when the disease suddenly declined, it wreaked havoc among the population, killing tens of thousands with each occurrence. Nearly 50% of those contracting the disease died from it. Nobody knew how to prevent it or treat it, and the cause of the disease remains unknown to this day. Henry VIII was King of England from 1509 until his death in 1547, and it's quite possible he is one of the greatest hypochondriacs ever to sit on an English throne. He ordered the royal physicians to examine him thoroughly on a near-daily basis. Any sign of illness in the court would send him into a wild panic. When the sweating sickness returned in the summer of 1528, he ordered that the court be immediately broken up. His mistress, Anne Boleyn, fled to Hever Castle, her family home in the Kent countryside, while Henry self-quarantined at Windsor Castle, taking with him 3 of his courtiers, his doctor, and his favorite court musician. The king himself was a highly respected musician and composer. This manuscript, known as the Henry VIII Songbook, was probably compiled around 1518 and includes 20 songs and 13 instrumental pieces. It includes what may be his most famous song, called Pastime with Good Company. An inventory of the instruments at Windsor, taken upon his death in 1547, included, are you ready for this? 5 bagpipes, 18 crumhorns, 17 cornets, 13 dulcenses, 9 shawms, a tabard, 2 fifes, a gittern, 2 clavichords, a harpsichord, 20 regals, and 18 virginals, 6 organs, 25 lutes, 29 viols, 42 flutes, and no less than 49 recorders. Clearly, music was an important part of life in his court, so it is little surprise that he brought along his favorite musician when he self-quarantined. When word came that his beloved Anne had taken ill with the sweating sickness, he dispatched his second-best physician to look after her and sent along the first of several love letters. Only 2 of Henry's letters to Anne, written during this quarantine, remain. Anne fortunately survived and would become his second wife. She would also, unfortunately, lose her head. We'll share these 2 love letters with you today, accompanied by music from King Henry's court, including selections by the king himself. We are so fortunate to have one of Kansas City's great actors, Robert Gibby Brand, to read for us. He's accompanied by our good friend and lutenist, Jeffrey Noonan. Please enjoy Love Letters to Anne Boleyn from Henry VIII.
A love letter of Henry VIII to Anne Boleyn, 16th of June, 1528. There came to me suddenly in the night the most afflicting news that could have arrived. The first, to hear of the sickness of my mistress, whom I esteem more than all the world, and whose health I desire as I do my own, so that I would gladly bear half your illness to make you well. The second, from the fear that I have of being still longer harassed by my enemy, absence, much longer, who has hitherto given me all possible uneasiness, and as far as I can judge, is determined to spite me more, because I pray God to rid me of this troublesome tormentor. The third, because the physician in whom I have most confidence is absent at the very time when he might do me the greatest pleasure, for I should hope by him and his means to obtain one of my chief joys on earth, and that is the care of my mistress. Yet for want of him, I send you my second, and hope that he will soon make you well. I shall then love him more than ever. I beseech you to be guided by his advice in your illness. In so doing, I hope soon to see you again, which will be to me a greater comfort than all the precious jewels in the world. Written by that secretary who is and forever will be your loyal and most assured servant, H.R. Enricus Rex. A love letter of Henry VIII to Anne Boleyn, 20th of June, 1528. The uneasiness my doubts about your health gave me disturbed and alarmed me exceedingly, and I should not have had any quiet without hearing certain tidings. But now, since you have as yet felt nothing, I hope and am assured that it will spare you, as I hope it is doing with us. For when we were at Walton, 2 ushers, 2 valets de chambre, and your brother, Master Treasurer, fell ill, but are now quite well. And since we have returned to our house at Hunsdon, we have been perfectly well, and have not at present one sick person, God be praised. And I think if you would retire from Surrey, as we did, you would escape all danger. There is another thing that may comfort you, which is, that in truth, in this distemper, few or no women have been taken ill, and what is more, no person of our court, and few elsewhere have died of it. For which reason I beg you, my entirely beloved, not to frighten yourself, nor to be too uneasy at our absence, for wherever I am yours. And yet we must sometimes submit to our misfortunes, for whoever will struggle against fate is generally but so much the farther from gaining his end. Wherefore, comfort yourself, take courage, and avoid the pestilence as much as you can, for I hope shortly to make you sing La Renvoyée. No more at present, from lack of time, but that I wish you in my arms, that I might a little dispel your unreasonable thoughts. Written by the hand of him who is and always will be yours, immutably, Enricus Rex.